We finally got the Nintendo Switch 2, and I'm here to test some of the craziest rumors that people have been telling me. And as we go through them, they get more and more crazy. So without further ado, let's get testing. Do the Switch 2 cartridges taste bad? So just as a friendly reminder, I got Super Mario RPG, the goat of a game. I'm gonna lick it good. Yeah, that's horrific. I would not put that in my cereal. Ugh. Let's pick which game I want. They all do look particularly tasty, but the tastiest one to me has to be Cyberpunk. I mean, the whole game's on the cartridge. We gotta eat it. Here it is. Looking awfully yummy today. Oh yeah, it's bad. Oh man. I don't know why, maybe it's because it's fresher, but that tastes much worse. And by the way, if you accidentally end up with a couple of cartridges in your mouth and you wanna wash down the flavor, we got some new Vandy Club mugs. They're available for a limited time. Send me a Discord if you get one. Do Switch 2 games run on the original Switch 1? So here I got my original Switch 1, and of course, the question is simple. I gotta test out one of my chunky games on my first Nintendo Switch. Let's go with Mario Kart for this one. Grab Mario Kart and let's place it in. Well, first of all, it does fit in the slot. Wasn't completely expecting that, but hey, that's good, it fits. Here we go. Oh, Nintendo Switch 2 software cannot be played on this system. Well, looks like I can't play Mario Kart World on my Switch 1. However, I've heard that people say that Switch 2 Edition games can run on the Switch 1. Let's test that out. So here we got The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom Nintendo Switch 2 Edition, as we can see. Will it load up the original Tears of the Kingdom on my console? Let's test this out. So as we can see, Tears of the Kingdom is running on the Switch 1. So there we go. True, Switch 2 games technically do run on the Switch 1 if they had a Switch 1 version. You can't play Mario Kart World. My day is ruined. What happens if you plug a power cord from the top and from the bottom? Will my Switch explode? I'm curious to find out. I also hope not. So here we go. We got two chargers here. Plug it in from the top and boom, we're charging. Plug it in from the bottom and boom, we're charging again. Now, let's plug two of them in at the same time. I'm a little nervous. Do you hear that noise? Yeah, nothing happens. So, false. My Switch will not explode with two power cords connected at the same time. Does the Switch 1 Pro controller work on the Switch 2? Now, I've been playing with the Switch 2 Pro controller so much, and because the Switch 1 Pro controller is so similar to the Switch 2 Pro controller, so many people ask, can I use the Switch 1 Pro controller on the Switch 2? I don't want to pay that price for the same buttons, so I gave it a test. And yeah, the Switch 1 Pro controller does work on the Switch 2, as well as third-party controllers that have all the buttons necessary. So, you don't need to go spend money. Good job, I did. Can you use a Switch 2 Pro controller on a Switch 1? Now, once again, it has all the buttons, but because it has a C button and an audio jack, will it work? Let's find out. So as we can see, right now, I'm using it on my Switch 2. Makes sense? Switch 2 Pro controller worked with the Switch 2. Who could have seen this coming? Now, let's go to the controller settings over here and try and hook it up, see if this works. I'm actually expecting it not to work. I don't think it works. It's false. The Switch 2 Pro controller doesn't work on the Nintendo Switch 1. Can you hold the Nintendo Switch 2 kickstand like it's a handle? Now, there's been a lot of concern over this kickstand being a lot less durable because it's thinner than, you know, this OLED kickstand. Look how thick this boy is. Like, that's a thick guy. But this, it's sturdy, but she ain't thick. But can I hold it like a handle? Can I GameCube it up? Let's try. Oh, I'm so scared. True, the Switch 2 technically does have a handle. Can you rip a Joy-Con 2 off the console without clicking the release button? Now, if you've seen my channel before, you might already know the answer to this. Here's a release button, and when you click the release button, you can do this. Wow, I've been playing with this so much. I've just been connecting it and disconnecting it constantly. I'm surprised this isn't broken yet, but can I rip it off without clicking the release button? Let's find out. Yes, you can. Although it is difficult, I'm surprised I even have the strength to do this because I'm weak. Oh my goodness, but yeah, you can. I don't know why you wouldn't just click the release button. But true, you can take it off without clicking the release button. Do physical games require the internet to play? Let's investigate, because I've heard so many people say that this is the case. Now, of course, the Nintendo Switch 2 is a handheld system. It's meant to be able to be played anywhere, including places you don't have internet. I think the reason that this has become kind of a rumor is because of this whole game key cards thing. I have a game key card here. As you can see, it says game key card on the box. On the inside, there's even a little key on the cartridge. That's how you can tell. Essentially, this just has a license to play the game. And as soon as I put it in the Switch, it starts downloading. Now I already downloaded it, but this is just from the eShop, 50 gigabytes. It took about an hour to actually download the whole thing. But when I put in Cyberpunk, it didn't even need to update. It was just playable from the start. So you don't need internet. In fact, these 3 games, Nintendo first-party games and a select few amount of games like Cyberpunk, which by the way, they flex so much that the whole game is on the actual cartridge. There are day 1 patches, but you don't need internet to play them. And I'll prove it now. Go into airplane mode. We got no internet going, and boom, I can start up Street Fighter 6. Yay, no internet required. So while this is true in some cases, most of the time, especially after downloading the games, if it's a game keycard, this is false. You don't need internet to play them. Can the Switch 2 camera be used on a PC? Now, here I have my PC. I've already got a camera here. So let's plug in this one and see if it works. The Nintendo Switch camera! Wow, it actually works. And it's not a bad camera either. Wow. Who the heck is this guy? Who the heck is this guy? Who the heck is that? Who is that? True, the Nintendo Switch 1 camera does work on the Nintendo Switch 2. Look, I could actually just put it here. He's right behind me, isn't he? Can you use the Nintendo Switch mouse mode on the menu? Let's test it out. Yes, of course it works on the menu. However, we got some hidden secrets within this. If you click the settings button and you go to controllers and accessories, okay, I guess you can update your controllers. Here's a rumor really quick that we'll insert. Can you update your controllers? Yes. There's an extra one for the road. So while yes, you can use them on the menu, you can also adjust the sensitivity. Now, I like my sensitivity pretty high, all low. Whoever is using low mouse sensitivity actually needs to go to school, to smart school. It's true, you can use them on the menus. Can you use a third-party mouse on the Nintendo Switch 2? Now, we actually saw gameplay of someone using a third-party mouse in a game, but I don't know if that's gonna work on the menu. And I know that even the Switch 1 included it in some games. I think Fortnite was able to use it. I don't quite remember. But does it work on the menus? I gotta find this out. I have a little USB adapter right here. Now, if we put this in the Switch itself, let's see. Nope. Doesn't look like it works on the menu. So technically it's false. Do Nintendo Switch 2 physical games have inside box art? Now, back when I started doing YouTube, I did a lot of these videos where I actually talked about the inside box art of Switch 1 games. Like, look at this, The Legend of Zelda. On the inside, it has box art. Now, generally all first-party Nintendo Switch games have inside box art, but some of them are just like plain white canvases, like there's nothing on them. Some people don't do it. Now, with the Nintendo Switch 2, I was a little concerned that they wouldn't have inside box art because, well, the plastic is now red. So let's look. Yes, literally it's the exact same cover that's on the Switch 1 version of the game, and they do still add it. It just has a heavy red on it. Now, it's not just because it's The Legend of Zelda Nintendo Switch 2 edition. Even games like Mario Kart World have it. Like, look at this. They made a whole inside box art that's just being completely tainted by the fact this case is red. It's cool box art. I mean, I love that they make inside box art for this, although I will say we're probably gonna see a lot less inside box art now that the inside of the case is red. And like I said, some games just don't have it. Cyberpunk was a little lazy with this one. They even gave me stickers or whatever the heck that is. So true, Switch 2 games do have inside box art still. Does the Switch 2 fit in Switch 1 carrying cases? Let's test this out. This is a Switch 2 carrying case. It's the official Switch 2 carrying case, and it fits this console nice and snug. You can put it in, and boom, that's a carrying case. But something I heard a lot of is that you can use the Switch 1 carrying case on the Switch 2. Now, obviously, the Switch 1 is a little smaller, so at first glance, you wouldn't think that the Switch 2 can work on the Switch 1, but let's give them a test. We love Peely. Moment of truth. No, I don't know who came up with this rumor. Let's try another one. No, this rumor is so false. If you have a good Switch 1 carrying case, it should not fit the Switch 2. Do Switch 1 JoyCons work on the Nintendo Switch 2? All right, here we go. So on the Switch 2 on the menu, we'll hit change grip and order. If it will work, I should just be able to hold this connect button and it should connect. It does work! True, Switch 1 JoyCons do work on Switch 2. Do Switch 2 JoyCons work on Switch 1? Now I'm assuming that because the Switch 2 Pro Controller didn't work on the Switch 1, that this probably won't work, but we gotta test it out. Hold the connect button. I don't think it does. I'm calling it. The Switch 2 JoyCons don't work on the Switch 1. Is the Switch 2 Rumble quieter than the Switch 1? Now, one concern that I had was that these Joy-Con were so loud. In fact, we already know that they could make different notes with Mario Wonder with the note pads. It would actually play notes depending on what note block you hit on the floor. Now, this rumor is technically already false based on what we've heard from Nintendo. I want to put it to the test. I want to see if it's actually that much quieter than the Switch 1. If we test the fine controller setting on both of the consoles, we can make them vibrate and test this out. So first up, we'll do the right Joy-Con. It's actually pretty loud. Now let's go to this one. The Switch 2 sounds way louder to me. Something else that I noticed is not only are these louder rumble, but it beeps when you find them. This could actually be false, but maybe it's because it's on the table. So let me hold them up and try again. I'm pretty sure the Joy-Con 2 is louder. It's also a higher pitch rumble, so that makes it stand out a little bit more. Nintendo told us that because of the mini game called Find Joy-Con and Everybody Want to Switch, that it would be difficult on the Nintendo Switch 2 because the Switch 2 actually rumbles quieter, but I'm pretty sure I just disproved that, so false. The Joy-Con 2 rumble actually is louder. Did not expect that. Can you attach Joy-Con 2s upside down? We heard rumors about the fact that the Nintendo Switch 2 can actually be played upside down because the controllers can attach upside down. I don't know if this is actually true or if this is false or if that's even possible. I know that we got magnets on the inside of the Switch, so we had to just test it out. Technically, this should go on the left side, this should go on the right side. Do they even connect? Oh, they do. They're a little odd, but they do connect and they work. So yes, you can flip the Joy-Cons upside down and play it like this. I don't know why you would, but it's possible. This is true. Can you place the Joy-Cons backwards? Technically, if that last one worked, this should work just fine. And yes, you can. Yippee! It's a little weird because they don't quite line up on the top, and also it's backwards, but you can. Look, I'm playing right now. I'm not backwards, you are. Can you connect Bluetooth headphones to the Nintendo Switch 2? You might know that the ability to connect Bluetooth headphones took like years to come out. So can you still do it with the Nintendo Switch 2? Let's try. Go to the settings, go to Bluetooth audio, pair device. Here we go. So I'll hold my back buttons on my AirPods here. AirPod Pros. I didn't expect it not to work. I just wanted to make sure it does work. So there we go. This is true. Does the Nintendo Switch 2 overheat? Let me just say right now, it does get much hotter than the Nintendo Switch 1. As I've been playing Mario Kart World and maybe some other intensive games, this boy does get noticeably warm. I don't know if it is like burning, and it definitely doesn't overheat to the point where it needs to shut off, at least not that I know of yet, but it does overheat. In fact, these fans kick in very often. I can actually feel the air blowing from them, and it's pretty loud too. It doesn't overheat, but it does get noticeably hot. So false, it does not make a grilled cheese sandwich. Can you mix a Switch 2 left Joy-Con with a Switch 1 right Joy-Con and play them in the pair? So let's give it a test. We'll pair this controller again. We'll shut off the right Joy-Con 2. Now we'll click the L and R button at the same time and see what happens. Oh my goodness, you actually can. I guess that makes sense if they're both compatible with each other, but you actually can pair a Switch 2 and a Switch 1 Joy-Con together. Going back to the Switch 1 Joy-Con feels kind of cursed. And playing them with them as a pair, that's really weird. Wow, I did not expect that to work. But there you go, if your right Joy-Con breaks, then you should be fine. Yes, you can pair Switch 1 and Switch 2 Joy-Con. Is the Nintendo Switch 2 actually louder than the Nintendo Switch 1? Finally, I have a use case for two Tears of the Kingdoms. I'm not crazy, I told you. While we have them open, the logos are a little different. All right, let's open them up. We got full blast on the Switch 2, full blast on the Switch 1. Now, Nintendo boasts that the Switch 2 is actually louder than the Switch 1. Well, load times are better on the Switch 2. Let me just tell you that one for free. We'll put them both to the home menu. We'll start with the Switch 1. Okay, now the Switch 2. Oh yeah. Oh my goodness. Okay, well that answers the question. I didn't actually expect the Switch 2 to be that much louder, but it is noticeably louder. But not only is it louder, the quality is much better. The sound is much richer coming from the Switch 2. Oh my gosh, this game looks so good. I haven't even booted this up yet. Sorry, I'm getting distracted here in my brain. Whoa. Speakers, much better on the Switch 2. So yes, it's true. The speakers on the Switch 2 are louder than the Switch 1. Can you dock the Nintendo Switch 2 using the top USB-C port? Now, as we know, when we dock the console, it uses the bottom USB-C port. Will it work with the top one, with the brand new top one? If we try to place it in right now, it's gonna be impossible because the Joy-Con's on it, so we gotta take the Joy-Con off. Here we go. I'm definitely in. No, I don't think it's gonna dock. The real question is why? The USB-C actually isn't centered or as centered as this one over on this side, so it literally just wouldn't fit in because of the thickness of the Switch 2. Also, the Switch has these bottom connectors thing, and that alone makes it impossible for the top to actually connect to the dock. So this is false. Do magnets destroy game key cards? Now, this next rumor might break an entire game, so let's test it out. On some packages with the game keycard games, I'm specifically thinking about the Japanese version of Bravely Default. It actually gave people a warning saying that if you put the game keycard close to a magnet, it could completely destroy it. So of course, I have to put it to the test and see if I can break my game key card, Street Fighter 6. Now, I'll tell you why this is specifically very alarming. The Nintendo Switch 2 uses magnets. It's like the whole thing. That's why it's been such a big concern, because there's magnets literally in the system you're putting the game key card into. So I got my cartridge here. Let's just hook it up to these magnets. I'm just putting it all around, trying to make it break. Now, technically, the Joy-Con doesn't have magnets, but we'll just put it around here just for those commenters who thinks these are magnets as well. They're not, they're just metal. Moment of truth. Did I break my game? I didn't. It still works. Now I can play my game key cards. Do you have any rumors for the Nintendo Switch 2? And hey, consider liking and subscribing and checking out one of these videos. YouTube thinks you're gonna wanna watch it. And hey, consider becoming a channel member. Join the list of names on the side if you wanna support the channel. All right, I'll see you in the next one. See you later.